Hello guys, welcome to the Diva universe, welcome to this space, welcome to this environment. So guys, in today's video we're gonna talk about how men fall in love with their emotions and women fall in love with their logic. And I want to use, for this video, I want to use Jeff Bezos as an example. Jeff Bezos with Sanchez, his new wife. So as I have been studying human evolution, human anthropology, psychology, all of this, and throughout my own personal experience and journey, I have learned that men fall in love through emotions. And what do I mean by this is that men fall in love through the emotional experience that you are creating for them. And another example that I can give you guys is that you can see that I'm like, this is the perfect example. I was just dating a Dutch guy, and he got divorced like a year ago, lost like 50% of his assets, started dating again, blah blah blah, and then he met a woman that he really liked, and within 3 weeks he got married with her. And within 2 weeks of that marriage they got divorced. And this is all within a span of a year and a half. And then he was again dating, and he was dating me, and he was telling me this. And when he told me this, he immediately felt like, maybe I shouldn't have told you that. And I was like, no, why not? Like, of course you should have not told me that. But that was such a revealing moment for me, because he revealed to me the theory that I had going on, that men fall in love through emotions. And I asked him, why did you marry her? Like, why? Like, you was just going through your divorce with your wife of like 10-year relationship, and after divorcing her you immediately married someone else that you barely knew within a few weeks. And he told me that, yeah, he felt a lot of emotion and he was really excited for this woman, and she was actually not from here, so she needed paper, and he really wanted to be with her, so he married her so that she could have paper, move to here, and then be together. So that's the reason why they married. But eventually, after they got married, he realized that she wants to have family and she wants to have kids, and he already has like 2 kids of his own with his ex-wife, and he doesn't want any kids anymore. So because of that, the relationship or the marriage didn't go through, and now he was basically getting a divorce. And I was like, okay, so you're still getting a divorce and you're already dating and meeting new people. And the crazy part for me was that that week that he met me, he sent me a message telling me that he wants me to imagine what it's like falling asleep on his hand and on his like arms and stuff like that. And when I imagine all of that, let him know how I feel. That was on the first date. And he was telling me that he never felt how he was feeling with another. He had never felt what he felt with me, with any person, like this quickly, blah blah blah, and all of this stuff. And I was like, what? Like, I for me it was just like too much, cause it's like, oh, listen, I'm used to men falling in love quickly with me, but this was next level. And when he was telling me all of this, it really helped me like put this conclusion of like, men literally fall in love with their emotions, and that is why a man can get a divorce, lose 50% of his asset, lose everything, and then get remarried again and do it again. Like, a man would do that 50 billion times, And you know why? Because men fall in love through emotions. Now, what do I mean by this? By this, I mean that what is the gut level emotion that you trigger these men? So, let me take a sip of my tea, girl. So, what do I mean by this is that basically the gut level feeling that you trigger these men. So, men have less connection with their body and with their emotions in comparison with women, because we have intuition. We are more connected with our intuition, our emotion, our body like feeling, versus men are more logical, they are more rational, like they're much more in their headspace, versus women are much more emotional, like we feel more, so we are more like in our body space. And through us, men get to connect with their emotions more deeply. And we get to connect with men logically more deeply. Now, there is a trick to this, and we're gonna I'm gonna explain that later to you guys. So as a woman, we become more logical when we are meeting guys and we're dating them, because we as we are the DNA carriers, so we carry the DNA of the future. We carry like the future, basically. What do I mean by this? Like the future generation that is to come, we are the ones that are carrying that through having babies. And because of that, that is why we fall in love through logic, meaning that we have to logically choose men that are not only in the emotional, physical, and mental state, but also that have all the things that we as a woman need to feel safe, protected, provided for, so that we can have their babies. And that is why we fall in love through logic, because we have to be strategic in the sense of who is the DNA that we're gonna bring into the future. And that is why it's very important for you as a woman to choose someone who thinks like futuristic, who is a provider, who already has built like a house, a place where you as a woman can feel comfortable and safe enough to have their babies. And so this is why as a woman we fall in love through logic, because it's also like we don't want like the way God designed us is so fucking amazing, because it's like they know that we want that the future generation to come should always be like an upgraded DNA, like a better DNA. So because of that, we also like choose men that have good DNA that we want to bring into the future. And this is something like subconsciously, like this is not something that we consciously think about. This is something that happens subconsciously. That's why sometimes you are attracted to certain types of men, or you're not attracted to certain types of men, because those DNA are like not DNAs that are quote unquote worthy to be going into the future. And so for men it's more logic, it's more emotional, because it's about the emotional experience that we create to these men. So within my personal experience, I noticed that a lot. I'm a very like exciting person. I'm very emotional, like I like to create experience, I like to create beauty, I like to create fantasy. That is just who I am, that's my thing, right? Now, because of this, I always approach a relationship in that sense. So a lot of the times what I would do is I would observe what is missing from this man, what is missing in his life that I could bring. And this is basically the strategy that I use when I want to make a nigga fall deeply in love with me. So a lot of the times the guys that I have dated are guys that like have a lot of money, or they're very much like into like work and business, and like they're very much in their head. So these are men that are not that much connected to their emotion. So what happens is, because I know they're not that connected to their emotion, I can just by observe them, I can tell what is missing emotionally in their life. and I would use that as a strategy to make them fall in love. This is something that Meghan also did, and I'm talking about Meghan, the one that married Prince Harry. And also this is something that Sanchez did with Bezos. Now let's go into that example. So Bezos was married with his starter wife, which was the woman who helped him build his Amazon empire, his multi-billion-dollar empire. And what happened is, within that partnership, is that because of the way that relationship was set up, was like the starter wife was basically nurturing him, supporting him into building that multi-million-dollar business, right? So what happened is, throughout the building of that empire and their relationship, the polarity, the attraction, the mutual attraction was slowly missing. Why? Because of the starter wife. She started like supporting Bezos, nurturing Bezos, mothering Bezos. And what happened is, like, in her eyes, even though she still admired him and still loved him in all of it, but still in his eyes, he was not the savior. He was not the Prince Charming. He was not like the Superman. So his ego was not being stroked anymore by her, because she was already mothering her. She was like, their relationship became too much of like a partnership, a business relationship. And so what happened is, the more it became a partnership, a business relationship, the more she mothered him, the more she supported him, and seeing all of these things, the less she could see him as someone who, oh, he is my savior, he is the one that provides for me, and the less that she could like boost his ego up, right? So this is not something that happened. This is not something that was just happening on a conscious level. This is something that's happening on a subconscious level. And so because of this, you could see, like, even through the pictures of their relationship, you can see that the wife was the one that was like giving him all of the energy, all of the attention. Like, even in the pictures they took together, like, just look at these pictures. You can see that it is her that is leaning more in versus him. He is the one that is leaning less in, because he's like preserving his energy, versus her, she is like mothering him. She is like giving him all of her energy, which is not something bad. But what happens with that is, like, you will eventually lose the attraction. You will eventually lose like the magnetism, the thing that will like attract the relationship together. And you can see, like, Bezos has all of this money. Like, he can literally pay a woman to be with him. He could be with anyone that he wanted to, just by paying them to be with him. But at the end of the day, it's not about that. And this is where Sanchez come in, because Sanchez could see that this is something that is missing in Bezos' life. So what she did is, she brought that into Bezos' life. She brought excitement. She brought emotion. She made Bezos feel like life is worth living. She created fun experience, even though she's a grown woman who has her age. She's in her 40s or something, but you can see that she has so much life. She is so exciting. She is so like seductive. She's playful. She's fun. And these are the things that Bezos was basically missing. Like, she brought meaning to his life. Because even though Bezos had all the money in the world, he has all of the resource, all of the connection, he was still missing that emotional excitement for life, that emotional feeling, that fantasy, that seduction, that playfulness. And that is something that he couldn't get from his former wife, because his former wife was like more so the wife that was nurturing him, that was supporting him, that was like inspiring him, and lifting him up in his down moments. And this is usually a dynamic that happens throughout like the starter wife relationships. Like usually it's the starter wife that helps the man build his empire, become all of this, and then the man would end up leaving their starter wife for someone else who they are impressing. Like Bezos was basically impressing Sanchez, because he had all the money, he had all the connection, he had all the things. And what Sanchez did, Sanchez just brought her energy, she brought her seduction, she brought her playfulness, she brought her vibes. So, one second guys. So what happened is, like, I know that they hosted, like, this is maybe before they got married, they hosted like a dinner to celebrate like something. And of course, like, you need money to host these events. And who had the money? Bezos. But Bezos does not care about none of these things. Like, he doesn't care about none of these things. But because Sanchez has that energy of excitement, of let's do this, blah, 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 like all of this playfulness energy, that made him feel excited. That made him feel like life is worth living. Like, he would care less to do any of these things. But because Sanchez would bring up that vibrant high energy and would create that fantasy for him, would create that emotional gut level feeling for him. And in that case, his ego was boosted and his ego was stroked, because of course Sanchez didn't have all the money, she didn't have the network, she didn't have the resource. But this is where Bezos came in with all the money, the resources, the network, and they made it happen. And in his eyes, he would be seen as the savior, the hero, the one, you know, his ego would be stroked. And this is where Sanchez would see him as like, oh, like the provider, like she would look at him like, he inspired me so much. Even though you can still tell, like, you can look based on these pictures, you can basically look how in this case now it's Bezos the one that is leaning more in, versus Sanchez is more like conserved, because she is receiving all of his energy, vice versa. But what I want to illustrate here is how you can see that the one now leaning more in this case is Bezos, versus in the previous one, as you can see here, you can see that the one leaning more in was the former wife, and Bezos was the one that was just receiving. So basically, this is the type of relationship you want to have. You want to be the one where the man is leaning more in versus you as a woman. Because when the man is leaning more in, then he is investing emotionally, financially, physically, mentally, in all of the ways. And of course he is investing in her, because in able to throw such a big party, you need money, you need to have certain amount of money, and so he is investing in her. So this is a perfect example of how a relation, like, men fall in love through the emotional, through you creating that emotional experience for them, you creating that emotional for them. Like, when you guys go on a date with men, like, what do you guys do? Do you talk about the basic stuff, like the interview, typical dating thing, or do you guys do something exciting? Do you talk about different things? Do you bring some emotional experience where the guy feels excited, his ego feels boosted, he feels like the man, like he is the one saving you? So it's basically that. So I noticed that a lot of the times when I personally create like these fantasy or these emotional experience for men, is when they deeply fall in love, because men miss that in their life. Like, let's be honest, life can be very boring. Like, everybody goes to work and does the mundane things, but it's about what meaning do you give to these things. Like, what excitement do you bring to their life? What type of emotion do you bring to their life? Like, at the end of the day, a man can make a house but a woman is what makes it a home. And a woman is what makes it a home because a woman is what brings the emotional part that makes that house a home. You can see how lit up a house is when there is a woman nurturing that house versus when there is just a man living alone in that house. Like when I was in Spain and I was living with the guy that I was dating at the time, like I would stay at his place like for a few days, and when I was there, like he would always tell me like, I like it when you're here because it's like the house comes to life, like there is life here, like there you can feel the warmth. And I would look at him like, of course I know what he meant, but I would look at him like, what? And then he would say to me like, when he's alone, you know, the house is just a house, it doesn't feel the same. Versus when I'm there, it's like it has this energy, it has this warmth, it has this feeling. And this is the part that we as a woman bring into the relationship. Like you can go on a million dates with a guy, but if you're gonna be on the date like boring as hell, not talking about anything, not making the date excitement, not bringing any type of emotion to it, then it's just gonna be another date that he's probably gonna forget. But if you bring like your energy, you bring like your you know, your scent, your beauty, your presence, your high vibrational energy, and you know, just the vibes, you make that date special and you make it unforgettable. And after that date, I promise you, he's not gonna forget you, because it's not about just looking pretty and being able to talk and flirt and all of that, but it's about of bringing the vibes. Like we as a woman, we bring the vibes, we bring the energy, we bring the fantasy, we make everything fun. And that is how you make men fall in love, because men don't have this quality within their self. Like they cannot create this because they're rational, they're in their head, they're logical, they're in their head space. Versus us women, we help them go from here down to here in their body, to feeling something, to you know, experience something. So that is part one of like men fall in love with their emotions and women fall in love through their logic. And in part two, I will share with you guys more details of and examples of how you can do this and apply this in your life. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.